any of you have ever done Ignite or you're involved in Ignite, you can always pop in to Ignite for a refresher. I am the instructor on Friday. So,
Like tomorrow?
yes, exactly. Right. Thank you guys, really. I'm glad you got my back. It's amazing.
3 days away.
Yeah, like, oh, it's just all running so fast. That starts at 1 o'clock, especially for you guys that are newer or people that have had some experience.
I like the way you didn't say older.
No, I don't say older anymore. Yeah, after that 60th birthday party
I know.
thing, like I learned, I have to change the dialogue. But it's also a good refresher. I promise it to be entertaining because it's all the new agents, and the whole purpose of that session is to kind of get everybody excited about starting their business because they're brand new.
Get 'em
Like
excited.
we do that anyway. But I would love to see your faces just because there's familiarity in the audience, but whatever works. But that's tomorrow at 1 o'clock, okay? We have our one-on-one set up. Just to give you a light, brief overview of how that'll work, and of course everybody else that rolls in will catch this. We just now set up where you guys will sit with Sophia about the new structure. She'll go over it with you, and then you'll take that piece of paper, then you'll come in and you'll see me. Whatever contract revisions that we decided to do for you, which is going to benefit you, which we're pretty excited about, we'll go over then. If you find yourself very comfortable with that, which I'm anticipating that you will, I'll have you go ahead and sign off on that right away. And then we will go into business planning. Business planning is, so to give you a little bit of a heads up, is basically like if you want to make X number of dollars per year, then you have to do X number of appointments, X number of listings, X number of buyers, X number of transactions for the year, and then you break it down to, and I like to take it one step further and break it down to the month. So if you want to make $120,000 a year, all that breaks down to you have to do 1.34 transactions a month, which means you only have to close one transaction a month. Now obviously they start to compile, so it's more than 12 transactions, depending upon your price point and what your conversion rate is. So, and we'll go over all of that stuff. But it just kind of gives you a little bit of a perspective of like if you've got an income goal, you can look at it and go, well, as long as I keep up with this pace per month, I will get that income goal. That's the whole purpose that it's set up. It is based on the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, the MREA Red Book, which is authored by Gary Keller as well as The One Thing. So everything rolls into our training, yes.
Doesn't Janet give those to the new agents if
She
they
does.
request one?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, she does. And if you don't have one, we'll get you one. It's a great read, as is The One Thing. The One Thing is actually a bestseller, just so you know. It just happens to be like, that. It's our guy. But it really, really is. That's why we were awarded #1 training program of all industries. Make sense? Cool. Okay, so in the meantime, wins. Let's get to that right away because that's important.
Sold the 90-day listing.
Good. Tell me more about that.
The My Three
Yay.
Sons house, I call it, because, well, the parents passed away and they left the sons the house. All three, a third. And, yeah, they're each equally unique.
Unique. It's a nice word.
And having conversations and questions and things that they want to get through with the transaction.
So if I can share this with everybody, I'm going to throw Marty under the bus here. I'm getting a huge kick out of, he comes to me with, these challenges, these questions, these objections, and I say to him, you should have this set up from the beginning to do this and this and this, already did that. You should be talking about and telling them to do this, already did that. So he's very, very nicely coming along, and we're starting to think alike because, and the reason I'm tossing him out there is because it started off really, really rough for him in the beginning, and now he's been here every day, he's been engaged, he's been asking questions, he's learning as he goes, and now his business is really starting to ramp up. So I bring that to your attention to kudos to you.
Well, thank you.
However, something even bigger, better, greater is that you have an example of somebody right on your team tapping into the resources that is currently killing it. So yay, how great is that?
And what
Yes.
I'm also noticing with adults now too, with these guys, is that I have to constantly remind them that, hey, I do need, as the transaction goes on, because from the get-go, just getting them under contract with the listing and getting the listing, it was, yes, I need one point of contact. Oh, okay, because that was, you know, kind of shuffling paperwork and saying, okay, this is how showings are gonna work, this is what's gonna go on. So it was one point of contact and it was fine, until we went under contract for sale. Now it's, okay, now we gotta get back to having one source, because
So you have to revisit.
yesterday, I sent out an email to all three and said, here's how it is, guys, da-da-da-da-da. And, because I sent to one, and then I got a message, hey, my brother got it, I didn't get it. Okay, I'll make sure all three of you get it at the same
I was
time.
gonna say, yeah. I
And
was-
then it turned into one brother called, hey, I was talking to my brothers and they said this. I sent you all the same, I said, we need to get back to, okay, I'm gonna talk to your brother and he's gonna get the message out. But then that backfired again because, hey, I talked to my brother and he said this, what's that mean? And I'm like,
Well, you might want to revert to, now, you know, I'm all about communication,
right,
old school, like have a conversation, but in something like that, it might be better just to send it all over via email, because then everybody's seeing the same thing and try to
Right.
communicate that way. That may be more efficient, only because the situation is a little peculiar. I'm not afraid of a conversation, clearly, which leads to my next thing. So whenever your transactions, that you start to get texts and emails from your co-broks, like, don't be afraid to pick up the phone and call them and say, hey, what does this mean? Hey, what are we trying to accomplish here? Like, again, to use Marty's example, now all of a sudden, everybody's excited about buying a house and they want to buy the furniture. Okay, let's have an inspection first. Let's make sure that everything is cool. Let's remove some contingencies. And whatever furniture is there is going to stay there. We're not moving it out yet, especially if you're interested in it, because then the seller will net even more money for some of their personal belongings, which is exactly what that is. So in doing so, like, let's follow due process. So you've got the co-broke, good morning. You've got the co-broke going, you know, but can we? Well, is this on? Like, let's follow due process. Now, you have to be kind, yes. You have to be practical, yes. But at the same time, you kind of have to keep the confines of the contract intact, because if you don't, then it's just gonna catch up with you later. And now all of a sudden, you've got all this chattel that somehow ended up in a contract or on an addendum or something.
That's what I did, what would Mark do too, when they were asking me about that, well, can't we just do this on the side and exchange a check or cash or whatever? I said, I'd prefer it to be on, for me, I say put it on an addendum, write it up, as to then we know who's responsible for what furniture, who's staying and who's going, so nobody's waving a figure, hey, you were supposed to leave this and you didn't, or something like that.
Well,
So everybody knows, it's in a contract, we know who's.
Well, you know what, and I don't know that I would necessarily add that in to the contract, because it's gonna muddy it up.
Okay.
He said an
You can't-
addendum.
Yeah,
Yeah, because if you add that into the contract, then that's gonna get factored into all of the money, the appraisals and all that stuff.
And we don't
So-
want copies of that.
Yeah, so the right way,
We
right,
don't, okay.
that should be done completely outside of the transaction,
they
and
do want
remind,
outside of
remind your co-broke.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with real estate.
Chattel, out, that has nothing to do with it, it's just like the car thing that you encountered.
Right.
Like, you cannot do that. So, to put it to you softly, no.
No,
Like,
keep
it
it
just-
outside, okay.
Keep it outside. So what you might want to try, which is what we've experienced before, is if at the inspection, now you have a little bit of time, get my three sons together and get those little day glow stickers, and anything that is for sale, stick them on it. Have the person, while they're going through the inspection, or the co-broke, because they're just sitting there, because they're supposed to be what at an inspection? You're supposed to be present, but not a participant. Okay,
Right.
keep that in your mind when you do your inspections. Like, the only time you engage is to listen when they review the inspection, as when you're representing your own client. So let's break this down so I can see it all over your face. You do an inspection, you show up, you let the inspector in. 9 times out of 10, they're doing the outside of the house early if you have a good inspector. You let them in. That's when you take your data collection form, if you have a warranty, you put it right on top of your stuff, and as soon as everybody's in, your clients will show up, hopefully just by themselves with not all 900 of their kids and their mother and father and cousins, and you introduce them to the inspector, and the inspector will give them a brief overview. I'm going to take a little time, get some things set up, and then we're going to go on. So while they're doing that, say, if you don't mind excusing me, I have some data to collect, and you take that data collection form and you find out what the hot water tank is, you find out what the heater is, you find out what the central areas, the appliances, because you're gonna have to turn that anyway, it's on your checklist. Do it right then and there, because you're there, you have it, it's over. That separates you from the client. So now you're separate from the client. At that point, you're making your lead generation calls, you're returning emails, whatever you're doing, but while they're doing that inspection, you're not part of it. You're not an inspector, correct? So if your client comes in, he says that it's gonna, you hired the inspector, you have to discuss that with him. I'm only present, not a participant. It keeps you out of liability, it keeps you out of accountability that you have no business being held accountable to anything that comes up in that inspection report. Who pays for the inspection?
Buyer.
Correct. So if the buyer pays the inspection, who hires the inspector?
The buyer.
So who owns the report?
Aye.
Who is responsible for sharing that report with whoever they choose? Correct. So if you're cool with all of that, you know that you have to stay out of that. Now, while they're going through it, my best practices will stand there with my mouth closed and I will look over the shoulder when he's going through the pages of what's going on. I have no opinion, I have no nothing. If your client starts to freak out, then go, wait, his job is to, but that's it. Like, you don't say anything else. The reason you're gonna familiarize yourself with it is so when something comes back, you can channel your client to health, safety, structural. Like, they're not gonna repaint the wall, or they're not going to take down the ceiling because it's got a bow in it, like you already saw that. Health, safety, and structural. When you are sending your removal of contingencies over, attach the pages that describe exactly what the requests are from the buyer. Do you understand what that means? So you're gonna get a report. In most cases, the buyer will send it to you so that you can look at it and say, these are the things. Like, you don't want the whole report. You don't want it, especially if you're a listing agent, you definitely don't want it. But as a buyer's agent, we'll stay in our lane. Just the pages that are specific to, there's a leaky pipe, there's those 3 pages for your removal of contingencies. How long do you have to get that removal of contingencies to the seller?
3 days from the report.
3 days, not 3 business days, 3 days. Otherwise what? What is the circumstance of that?
You're as is, you're buying the house as is because you have no claim to say.
Correct.
You said not business days, just 3 days.
3 days.
You're out of
3 days.
contract.
So what I usually do, good morning. So what I usually do is I make sure that I have it to them in a day. From the time it's received, go over it, call me that evening, we discuss it, drop the paperwork and get it to the co-broke the next day. Don't wait. Because there will be that time where you go, oh, I'll do this later when you're busy, and then all of a sudden your eyes will pop open at 3 a.m. and you realize you got until 7 a.m. to get it to them, and then now it's not done. Don't make that mistake. Be kinder to yourselves, okay? Any questions about that? Nothing? Sure? Okay, any other wins? I kind of stepped in front of that. Anybody else? Okay. Did everybody see the Facebook post about paperwork? Any questions with paperwork, go straight to Sylvia. So we're all doing the same thing. We all collectively took the time to make sure that things are compliant. We had a question about receiving earnest money. We cleared it with the broker. He's the big guy, so whatever he wants is what we do. So if he's telling us it's okay, it's okay. So direct all questions about paperwork to Sophia. Okay? Any questions about that? No? Okay. So I need 2 people to do a role play before I appoint you. Jump up all at once. Okay. Marcia, since I haven't seen you. And
I'm gonna take my phone with me.
that's fine. And Katie, we'll throw the new girl in. Okay, you come on up. Okay, so this is going to be converting your pipeline. Okay, so go ahead. God bless you. Okay, so this is the scenario. And now you finally met. Part of the reason why I did that. So, okay, so it just worked. So, okay, so Katie, you are the person that doesn't really know if you want to rent or if you want to buy, and you kind of maybe want to wait till the spring. So you're like really hesitant about making this move to purchase a home.
Okay.
Marcia is going to provide you with the information why you should purchase a home now, based on the way the market is, all that sort of thing. So her goal is to get you to convince to purchase a home and go in contract. Your role is going to be for no, I can't even, I'm not ready to do this.
It's totally like what I'm in my
This is
situation,
why we're
so that's
doing it,
perfect.
right.
Yeah. Perfect.
Okay, all right, go ahead, go.
So I understand that you're considering renting, you're in the market to find another place to live.
Yes.
Okay, so have you even considered purchasing rather than renting?
No, I have not.
Can I ask why?
I have been worried about getting a pre-approval.
Okay, so have you tried getting a pre-approval?
No, I have not.
Okay, so that would be the first thing you want to do, because I think you'd be extremely surprised at what you can get, and that you would be paying the same, possibly even less, to purchase something over renting. And then you have that, it's yours,
I
and
don't
you're
know,
not paying somebody else.
My big worry is one being my credit, and two, what if I'm not really sure where I want to go, where I'm kind of looking for, where I want to settle down, where would be the right location to stay. So I'm just not sure if I'm really ready to buy. So what would be something that would make me want to buy opposed to renting?
Well, first of all, the first thing we would address is, I'm going to give you a few different lenders, some suggestions of some lenders that you can go ahead, and I would suggest shopping around. But I'm going to give you some of them that are tried and true that we know of. Get in touch with them and find out what you can get pre-approved. That's the very first thing. So that kind of sets you, and whether you're leasing or purchasing, you're still going to need some kind of pre-approval.
Okay.
So that's the first thing we need to do. And that'll kind of give you an idea. You might be extremely surprised at what you actually can afford. Most people are. Secondly, we're going to search different areas. We're going to narrow it down to maybe 3 or 4 areas that you think that you'd be interested in. And we're going to do some comparisons. Maybe one area is less expensive for that same size home or that same size condo or apartment. And that'll give you an idea also of what's around. So are you new to the area, or are you?
I'm new to the west side, and I'm looking to probably relocate to the west side. I'm from the east side, so I would like to migrate over here.
Oh,
I got promoted.
West, how do they do that? West is that?
I agree.
Oh, this is so
I really
fantastic.
do.
Okay, go ahead,
My signs.
Be careful with that.
I know, the gangs around. So I think the first thing we need to do is get you set up with a pre-approval, and then I'm just gonna start sending you some things so you kind of get an idea of what's out there. And we're gonna get some ideas of what style of living you like. And that'll kind of give us an idea of where you may want to live. Like if you want to be within walking distance of a lot of things, and just send you some things, and we're gonna look at some homes, and we'll get you started. How does that sound?
That sounds perfect.
Okay.
Okay,
I'm sold.
perfect, great. Okay, that could not have been paired together better.
I know.
Okay, and believe me,
Yeah.
that was
It's
coincidence.
meeting
I had nothing to do with that. Okay, so what did you think about that? I loved it. I absolutely loved it. What did you think about it? Yes.
I like that you said, basically don't put the cart before the horse, let's worry about the pre-approval before we think about where.
Yes, absolutely. What else?
And it's good to, like, if they're not even sure, just get the approval, it doesn't mean you have to buy. So,
Well, that's where you kind of have
Once you get
to.
that approval, then, you can see what you're approved
Good
for.
morning. That's kind of where you start the process,
Mhm.
right? So what I loved the most, is because it's my hot button, is the questions. Wow, the flow of that dialogue was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant, because she was engaging. She gave very, very pertinent information, and then she asked questions. So Katie was then able to kind of go, okay, so now by answering those questions, you're following that person down that path. And the canter, that is like or the cadence, I guess is the better word, like the pace of it was perfect. She mentioned 2 or 3 things, and then she asked a question. Then she 2 or 3 more things, and then she asked another question. And she pulled her in. So what was she establishing by doing it that way?
Dialogue?
Dialogue, yes. What else?
More information about what the buyers, or what the person is looking for.
Information.
And giving them more information that,
Sure. What else? There's one thing I'm looking for.
I was gonna say, like, she's already like building a relationship.
That's where I was
with
looking
the
for.
client.
So we always have to, and this is something that I could probably be better at, is don't be afraid to go to the emotional. So now, when they're standing here, she made her laugh. She didn't like her, she's not gonna work with her. She made her laugh, she pulled her in, Now, she built a little tiny relationship where she feels like she can trust her now because she's clearly there coming from contribution. Like, that probably is on the top 5 best role plays we've ever done, so very good. Thank you guys, I love that, that was beautiful, beautiful. Okay, we're gonna do another one. Okay, I need 2 people. That's certainly not Marcia and Katie. It's gonna be tough to beat that. Who's gonna step up to that? Anyone, Bueller? Okay, Jessica and Brandon. All right, let's do it. Jessica, you are going to be a buyer, clearly. And Brendan, you're gonna convert. Okay? Now, you had a pretty good example there, so take a breath, pull it all in, and then go with it. Okay, so you're trying to decide whether you want to rent or buy right now. Same scenario, carbon copy. And I don't care if you repeat everything that they did and said, I don't care, because in real life, that's gonna show up that way, and that's part of the reason why we role play. I would prefer for you to throw a little bit of yourself in there. Make sense? Okay, off you go.
All right. Yeah, so, I wanted to meet with you because I've been renting like my whole life and everybody said I'd keep wasting money by renting, so I'm looking into it.
That can be very true. Why have you not progressed forward on that so far?
Just not really sure if I qualify because of my credit and if I have enough money. I just don't want to be stuck in that position where I can't pay for it.
It's a very common position. We have a lot of lenders we work with, so I'd say that would be the first step. To go through, get you pre-approved. The interest rates are at a great point right now, so even with the flexibility in your credit score, you may still get a very good number. Because really, I mean, you're paying somebody else's mortgage at this point, so if you can get out of that and start building the equity back yourself,
Right.
that would obviously be a nice thing. Have you considered where you'd like to move, or?
Not really. I mean, I definitely want to stay on the west side, but I'm just not really sure like the price points and all that.
Well, that's all things that once you're pre-approved, we can figure out. So I'd say the first step is calling a lender. We have someone that can refer, or if you have one that you'd like to work with, that would be great to shop around the rates and see what's out there. So yeah, once you're pre-approved, we can get back and start looking at properties and go from there.
Okay, yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay,
Sounds
good. Well, that one was easy. She was easy on you. Which is good. Okay, what do you think about that? It's equally as effective, completely different energy, dialogue, interaction. So what do you think about it?
I like his comment about the mortgage.
Yes. And to that, that's a great point, because I was going to capitalize on that as well. He's very good at being on top of that type of stuff. So that's kind of his strength. So he brings that value. He immediately goes right to the money, because that's really what it's about. I mean, I hate to say that because it sounds kind of cold hard classic, but it's about the money. Like, how much can you afford? How much are you willing to pay? What does your economic structure within your life allow you to purchase? So by going right to that, know your audience. Because if that was like a single mom with 3 kids, you know what I mean? Like, that's going to be a bigger issue because she's got a mountain of expenses that go with living that life that she has. Where if it's, maybe somebody that's a little bit younger, first-time home buyer, they're thinking more about where do I want to live? Where's the bar? Can I walk home? Like, how do I shop? Like, can I take an Uber? You have to know your audience. I mean, come on, keep it real, right? Because we've all been there, or some of us are still there. Yes.
Another thing I was thinking too, like, if they know location, like before you're meeting them and you kind of know location, what they're looking at, you might want to look what rents are going for, like just Avon Lake and Avon, for instance. The rents are really, really high. Like I know of a rental property that, like the mortgage is under $700. However, the rent on that is $1,300.
Yes.
So like if like a single mom with kids is renting and they're afraid, of getting into something that they're gonna get stuck in, well, they may be paying half.
Yeah, that's a
With the
great
mortgage, you may
point.
be paying half than what the rent is.
Depending
But
upon-
that's only in different, what area it is.
Right,
depending on the
depending on
area.
what their situation is. Christian I referred somebody over to him while we were on vacation, 2 gentlemen that were moving to Cleveland from San Diego. Okay, so my first question was, don't read the bubble over my head, why would you leave San Diego and come here? But of course, we never disclosed that. But they liked that the cost of living was a little bit lower, they could get a lot of money for their home. Like when they did their research, and I did a consult with them. And I said, well, there's a lot of different areas. If you're looking for townhouse style living, there's Battery Park, which has beach access. If you're looking for more of an urban environment, there's some great things going up in Ohio City that has a combination of old, new, freestanding, attached, like whatever works best. If you're looking for something that's got a little bit more of an urban flair but butts up to a suburb, you know, the Cleveland Lakewood border is really, really nice too. So you're not directing anybody, because you got to be careful of that, because you know you can't do that. Provide them with options. They then came back to me and said, Lakewood, we already did the research, we've already looked at some houses, we have friends that live there, we want to be able to walk our dogs, we want to be close to the city, and we want to be close to like restaurants and entertainment, but be in a safe environment, because you know, like, don't misbehave in Lakewood, because they're on lockdown. Like, one wrong thing and you're out. Some of you guys live there, you know. So, but that's what they wanted. So, just kept peeling back the layers. So when I handed them over to Christian, I was like, they want Lakewood in this price point, run with it, and now they're moving here. And they were here when it was 2 outside. I was
Oh,
like,
that's right.
this is gonna kill it. This is gonna totally kill it. Like, they were here when it was 2 degrees, and the dogs were like walking like this because it was too cold, because they're all used to like San Diego weather. So the beauty of this whole thing is that he was able to convert, but it came from uncovering all the information, but from a contribution kind of perspective. Does that make sense? So please don't lose sight of who you are in this business. You are all amazing, amazing people. Just to interact with you, I have the luxury of interacting with all of you on a regular basis. I know how awesome you are. Let people see that. If anybody saw my post this morning, people won't always remember what you say, though they will always remember how you made them feel. So if you're making the client laugh, they're going to remember how you made them feel. Something else to put in your psyche here. There's 2 ways that you can get people to remember things. What is it? What are the 2 characteristics of humans that will jog a person's memory way before anything else? Yes?
Say it 3 times.
Say it 3 times. Yes, I agree. Yep, that's right. It's not where I was going with it, but yeah, that's it. That's pertinent. What is it? I think it's pretty simple.
Something they like and something they dislike.
Okay, close. Yes.
A picture?
Go that way. Huh?
A picture?
Well, picture, yeah, that's in there too. So if you make them laugh or you piss them off, they're gonna remember. Sorry, not to be negative.
And what do they tell more about? The pissing off. The pissing off.
Right. Well, and you know, and a classic example to what Penny just mentioned was somebody will go on, you know, xcarcompany.com and write a shitty review, but they won't be as quick to go, oh my God, they were wonderful, you know, you have to, you know, buy this brand. So that's something that you also then have to ask for as you build your business as we wrap this up. When they love you, get the referral letter, get the, you know, gosh, you've done everything for us, we have our dream home, I feel like there's something more that I could do for you. Well, actually, you know what? Just, if you don't mind sending me a quick email that just tells about your experience, because I'm so glad that you're happy, and I would love to be able to have you, as this person I had this great experience with, to encourage other people to have the same experience. Now see how I didn't make it about me, I made it about them? Like, I want everybody else to have the same experience that you did, and this would give them that support to make that step. Would that be okay? Do you mind doing that? I think that would be invaluable to me and to anybody that I work with in the future. Of course, your family and friends can also be included in that dialogue. But is that all right? And of course, because they love you, they're right while you're talking about it. So make sure you factor that in too. Again, out of the technical, more into the emotional. Make sense? Any questions? You guys are awfully quiet today. All right. Anything else we need to cover? I would like to stop there. I think that's good. So.